All right, so today we're diving into something that's been, clearly on your mind. You've sent a whole bunch of stuff over, articles and reports and personal stories, even some advice pieces about remote work
Yeah.
and digital nomadism. So we've got a lot to unpack. It seems like you're interested in more than just the headlines. We're going to dig into some deeper stuff and help you really understand what this whole shift means, not just for the future of work, but for your own life too.
Yeah. And what's fascinating is this isn't some new thing. The seeds were planted a
Yeah.
while back. Technology slowly making remote work possible, globalization making it practical. Then, bam, pandemic hits. We were all thrown into this giant experiment, and it proved it could work.
88% of organizations going remote practically overnight. That Gartner stat blows my mind. But it wasn't just companies adapting, was it? We saw a huge shift in how employees felt about it, too.
Absolutely. That Flex Jobs survey finding that 98% of remote workers want to keep working remotely. I mean, that says a lot. And it's not just about the freedom and flexibility, although those are huge. When you really dig into the research, it's clear that for many people, remote work has led to, like Alver, a greater sense of autonomy, more control over their work life balance, which then impacts job satisfaction and even mental well being.
Okay, but remote work is one thing. Some of what you've sent goes even further, into this whole digital nomad world, which, let's be honest, sounds pretty appealing, working from a beachside cafe in Bali. Who wouldn't want that?
The idea of combining work and travel, experiencing new cultures while still building your career, has definitely captured people's imaginations. And while the reality might not always be as glamorous as the Instagram pictures suggest, there's no denying the appeal of that location-independent lifestyle. And we're even seeing entire communities popping up, places like Chiang Mai, Lisbon, Medellin, catering to this growing digital nomad population.
It's interesting, though, because this isn't just about individuals searching for freedom and adventure. Companies are starting to see the benefits, too, aren't they?
Right. Think about it. Less overhead from needing less office space, access to a global talent pool, potentially even boosting productivity and keeping employees by offering this flexibility. It's starting to look like a win-win, at least on the surface.
Okay, so on the surface, it sounds pretty idyllic. But let's get real. I'm sure you've uncovered some less than sunny aspects of remote work and digital nomadism, too. Because let's be honest, it can't all be sipping cocktails on the beach while coding the next big app.
Of course not. The benefits are definitely there, but the challenges are just as real. One of the biggest downsides, and this comes up again and again in what you sent over, is the potential for isolation and loneliness, especially for those who thrive in a collaborative social environment. The lack of face-to-face can really take a toll.
That makes sense. And it's not just about missing water cooler chats, is it? There's a real impact on teamwork and communication, especially if companies aren't intentional about building a strong remote work culture.
Exactly. And another challenge a lot of remote workers face is maintaining that work-life balance. When your home is your office, the lines get blurry, and it's easy to overwork.
Oh, I know that one. It's like the laptop is always calling to you, even when you're supposed to be relaxing. It's taken me a while to learn how to set boundaries, have a dedicated workspace, even if it's just a corner of my dining room table.
And it's not just personal discipline. Companies need to step up too, providing clear expectations, promoting healthy work habits, and really supporting their remote employees' well-being.
Now, even with the challenges, there's no denying that. Remote work and digital nomadism are sparking a lot of debate. Strong opinions on both sides. Some singing their praises, others ringing alarm bells.
It's a fascinating range of perspectives. In your research, you've got some really compelling stories from digital nomads who found real fulfillment in this lifestyle. They talk about personal growth, a sense of adventure, the ability to design a life on their own terms.
It's like they've cracked the code to freedom and happiness, right? But then you have others pointing out the downsides.
Yes, some worry about the potential for social isolation, the instability of always moving, the difficulty of building connections in a lifestyle that's so transient. One article even highlighted practical concerns, unreliable internet access, or navigating different countries' legal and tax systems.
Right. One digital nomad I follow online had this story. Hilarious, but also kind of scary. About trying to file taxes while bouncing between 3 different countries. It's definitely not as simple as some people might think.
Absolutely. It's important to remember this lifestyle isn't for everyone. And even for those who do well with it, it takes a certain level of adaptability, resourcefulness, a willingness to embrace the unknown.
So it's not one size fits all. And it's definitely not without its complexities. But one thing's for sure. This whole shift towards remote work and digital nomadism, it's raising some big questions about the future of work. So where is all of this headed? The stuff you sent paints some pretty interesting pictures of what the future of work might look like, and some of them are straight out of a sci-fi movie.
Well, the future of work is being shaped right now. One of the most significant things we'll see change is the landscape of our cities and towns. Imagine this: less demand for massive office buildings, potentially leading to lower rents, a shift toward more community spaces.
This is not just about individuals working from anywhere. It's about how this reshapes entire communities.
Exactly. We could see smaller towns and rural areas revitalized, a reversal of the trend where everyone flocks to big cities for work. Imagine people choosing where to live based on lifestyle, not just jobs.
That's a pretty radical shift.
Yeah.
And technology will undoubtedly play a huge role. You mentioned some pretty futuristic concepts.
Oh, yeah. Get ready for VR and AR in the workplace. Imagine meetings in a virtual office space, collaborating in immersive 3D, even using AR for real-time guidance on tasks, no matter where you are.
It's like Ready Player One coming to life, but for work.
Yeah.
Hopefully without the dystopian stuff. What about the more practical side of things?
Video conferencing is getting a major upgrade, too. We're talking hyper-realistic avatars, AI noise cancellation that filters out your dog barking, and holographic projection so you feel like you're really there.
That's a far cry from our pixelated Zoom calls.
Yeah.
But it's not just the tech changing, is it? The whole legal and regulatory landscape around remote work has to adapt too.
Governments are starting to catch up, though some are faster than others. We're seeing more digital nomad visas, specifically designed for location-independent workers.
I saw Portugal launched a new visa program. It's been super popular with digital nomads. It's like countries are competing for this global talent pool.
Exactly. And some even offer tax breaks or special economic zones. Of course, it's not all smooth sailing. There are still challenges, like making sure workers are protected and having standard rules across different countries.
It's almost like we're building the plane while we're flying it.
Yeah.
But to really understand what works, we need to look at the pioneers, the companies doing this successfully. I'm thinking about Buffer. You mentioned them earlier.
They're a great example. They embraced remote work from the start and built their whole culture around it. What's interesting is their radical transparency. They share everything publicly: salaries, revenue, even their internal processes.
It's like they're saying, this is how we do it, and it works. I'm guessing other companies are trying to do the same.
Absolutely. We're seeing more and more companies trying different remote work models, each with its own unique approach. Deloitte, for example, they've focused on building a really strong digital infrastructure and giving employees the tools they need to thrive remotely. They've also been proactive about the social side, creating virtual spaces and events to build community.
It sounds like they're trying to bridge the gap between the office and the virtual world. And what about companies like Nike? They really focus on employee well-being. How are they adapting that to a remote workforce?
Nike has actually implemented a lot of initiatives to support their employees, both physically and mentally, no matter where they are. They offer virtual fitness classes, mindfulness sessions, even ergonomic assessments for home offices. They're recognizing that well-being isn't just about perks, it's about a culture that values the whole person.
So it's not just giving people laptops and saying work from home. It's about a sustainable, supportive, engaging environment, even when everyone's scattered. But I think we need to bring it back to our listener here. You've clearly been doing your homework on this, so I'm guessing you're thinking about trying out remote work, or maybe even going full digital nomad. What are some key takeaways you can apply to your own situation?
That's a great question. If you're thinking about making the leap, be realistic about the challenges and honest with yourself about what you need to thrive. First things first, think about your personality and work style. Are you someone who needs collaboration and social interaction? If so, you'll need to be intentional about staying connected and finding ways to build relationships virtually.
And it goes for employers too, right?
Yeah.
Companies need to put in the effort to build a strong culture. Don't just assume it'll happen on its own.
Absolutely. For companies, investing in the right tech is crucial. Reliable communication, project management tools that keep everyone on track. Video conferencing that makes interacting seamless. Those are just the basics. But don't forget the human side. Open communication, clear expectations, regular feedback. Those are crucial for trust and morale in a remote team.
It's almost like remote work forces companies to be more deliberate about culture, because you can't rely on those casual interactions and unspoken norms of the office.
Exactly. And for individuals, setting boundaries between work and life is essential. It's so easy to blur the lines when your home is your office. But that leads to burnout. Create a dedicated workspace, set working hours, and stick to them. And remember, breaks and self-care aren't a luxury. They're essential for making remote work sustainable.
That's so true. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and forget to take care of yourself
Yeah.
when you're not tied to the 9 to 5. But what about actually finding remote work?
There are so many resources out there. Online job boards for remote positions, freelance platforms to connect with clients globally, even co-working spaces that offer community and support.
It's like a whole new ecosystem for this remote work lifestyle. What if someone's interested in being a digital nomad specifically? Where do they even start?
Start by researching different places and finding communities that fit your interests and budget. There are online forums and Facebook groups dedicated to digital nomads. You can get advice and connect with people who've done it.
It's like a global support network for people who want to work and travel. That's pretty amazing.
Oh, man.
But it's important to be realistic, right? This isn't for everyone.
Absolutely. It takes adaptability, resourcefulness, and a tolerance for uncertainty. You need to be okay with being outside your comfort zone, navigating different cultures, and maybe dealing with things like unreliable internet or language barriers.
It's not all glamorous Instagram photos and working from exotic beaches. It's about being ready for the realities of living and working in new places.
Exactly. And you need to be on top of your finances. This lifestyle can be really affordable, but it takes careful budgeting and planning.
And what about the legal side of things? Visas, taxes, all that.
Do your research. Every country has different rules for digital nomads. Some are very welcoming, others make it tough to work legally.
So it's not as simple as packing a bag and jumping on a plane. There's some serious planning involved. But all of this, the challenges, the rewards, the tech advancements, it's all part of this experiment we're calling the future of work, right?
And it's an experiment that's still going on. We're always learning, adapting, redefining what it means to work and live in a world where location matters less and less.
So it's not just remote work. It's about reimagining the relationship between work life and location. But that makes me wonder, what does this new reality mean for you?
Yeah.
We've talked about the trends, the tech, the good, the bad, but now I want to get personal. If you could work from anywhere, free from the office, where would you go? And how would that change your life? Would you chase the sun hopping between islands? Or maybe find a quiet mountain village and finally write that novel you've been dreaming of?
It really makes you think, doesn't it? It's not just about the logistics of work, it's about what you really want in life. And that's what's so exciting about this whole shift. It's not just where you work, it's about having control over your time, your place, and your life.
It's like those old lines between work and life are fading away. And we're all trying to figure out how to redraw them. It's messy, it's exciting, it's full of possibilities.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it. There's no right answer. What matters is finding what works for you. Maybe it's the nomad life. Maybe it's a mix of office and remote. Or maybe it's just having more flexibility in your current job.
So as you keep thinking about all of this, I want you to keep that question in mind. Don't just think about the how-to of remote work. Think about the what-ifs. How could this change help you live a better, more meaningful life? It's worth thinking about, and I bet the answers will surprise you.
And remember, this is just the start of the conversation. As the world of work keeps changing, we'll be here to help you navigate it all, the challenges and the opportunities.
So keep sending us your questions and ideas. Keep experimenting, keep pushing the boundaries, and most importantly, keep learning. Who knows, maybe your next deep dive will be from a hammock in Bali. Until then, happy exploring.